Welcome back, Daryl D TV. Thanks for joining me. Check this out. I want to show you guys some more records from my collection. Once again, I pulled out some records that you don't see every day. You don't see them every day in your local record store. You don't see them every day, in your thrift shop or even online, unless you're really, really digging and you're really looking for it. Today, I want to show you some of my Beastie Boy records. Yes, I did a Beastie Boy video a while back that's similar to this one. I'll put that link down below, and that one was just basically me talking about just some cool Beastie Boy records from my collection. One, maybe two of those records I'll be showing you today. I think, I'm not sure. But this is maybe some that are maybe a little bit more scarce, a little bit more not so common. So that's what we're going to do today. I want to show you some Beastie Boy records that maybe you don't see every day unless you're, a heavy digger and a huge Beastie fan like myself. So let's get started, okay? The first record I want to show you is the very first piece of vinyl, the very first release by the Beastie Boys, 1982. This is the Pollywog Stew EP. What, 8 songs on here? You might as well call it an album. I call it an album. Some call it an EP. But yes, this is the very, very first release from the Beastie Boys. This is on Rat Cage Records. This actually was pressed in France, and yeah, there was, I guess, a French or some kind of foreign airline that used one of these songs in a commercial, and the Beastie Boys actually sued them, and they were actually able to get a pretty penny from it. Let me get this cord out of your way. All right, and they were actually they got a little settlement from that. But this one, what's cool about this is before like Ad Rock was even with the group. This is when John and Kate was part of the Beastie Boys back in the day. This is I think this is a must for the Beastie Boy vinyl collector. This is definitely one that you need in your collection if you are that type of collector. You know what I mean? I mean, who doesn't like the Beastie Boys? And this was the punk rock stuff. I can't sit here and say that I listen to this very often. I might pull this record out, I don't know, every maybe 4 or 5 years and give it a listen. I have a very extensive Beastie vinyl collection, so I'm listening to a lot of these songs in some variation on some piece of vinyl or another at some point over the years. Not a fan of punk rock at all, but I do dig the Beastie stuff, just because it's them. But like I said, if you're like a completist, if you will, like myself, then you're definitely going to have this in your collection. So this is Pollywog Stew from the Beastie Boys. I'm going to pull out 10 pieces, by the way, to show you guys. Now, the next piece I want to show you from the first album, some of their, one of their, most popular songs is No Sleep to Brooklyn. I know what you're saying. You're saying that's not rare. I see this every day, blah, blah, blah. Well, this is just a reference for the record that I really want to show you. And that one is the UK import 12-inch of No Sleep to Brooklyn. This is what the picture sleeve looked like in comparison to the United States pressing. And if you're familiar with, the way records were pressed back then, you know that Beastie Boys was on Def Jam. Def Jam was a subsidiary of Capitol Records, Columbia Records, as well as CBS Records. In fact, if you look on some of the Beastie vinyl, like if you look on this label, you'll see Def Jam, you'll see CBS, and you'll see Columbia Records all on the same label. Well, Columbia and CBS, you know, they have pressing plants all over the world. So they didn't have to ship everything from, you know, their mainland, wherever that might be, most of the times here in the U.S., they could just press records here or there. So you would see a lot of foreign records, import records that had different covers, different song titles, not song titles, but different songs per 12-inch. For instance, this US version just has She's Crafty and No Sleep to Brooklyn, while this version here has, in addition to No Sleep to Brooklyn, has Hold It Now, Hit It, Brass Monkey, and Posse on Broadway. So you could kind of see the benefit of, you know, collecting pieces like this, because you got different songs on them. And it was just like different picture sleeves, and it was just always kind of different from the U.S. press version. And again, with CBS Records, you could probably find a dozen, maybe more, variations of this song, or some variations of the songs that appear on this 12-inch. So, you know, I've got a great Beastie vinyl collection, but there's some people out there who own all of those variations and make my collection look like nothing. So, yeah, there's a lot out there, but I just wanted to show you this cool UK pressing of No Sleep to Brooklyn. Let's keep going. Now we're going to get into a bootleg of mine. And you know I love bootlegs. So this was a bootleg. I don't know who put this out, but this is called Beastie Acapellas. And all they did was they took a bunch of the Beastie's 12 inches that featured acapellas and just put it all on one album. And if you take a closer look there, you'll see we have acapellas for Shake Your Rump, Hey Ladies, Pass the Mic, Alive, Intergalactic, So What You Want. What does that one say? Root Down, and Sure Shot. So, all you producers and remixers out there, there you go right there. Beastie Acapellas, bootleg flavor style. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Next up, here's another one. This is one of the early Beastie releases. She's On It, which was made popular from the movie Crush Groove. I know what you're saying. Maybe you don't see this too often. Maybe you do. It's not a super, super rare one. But again, I'm just using this as a reference because I want to show you another import from the UK. This is the UK 12-inch of She's On It. And if you look real close, it actually says that there's an extended version on there. And this is actually a white label promo. So no print on there. Now, if you're familiar with the US pressing of that, you know that they also put Slow and Low on the B-side. Well, they also put Slow and Low on the import, and they put an extension of She's On It as well as an extension to Slow and Low. This is the only place I have ever seen or heard of the extensions of those songs even being available. I didn't even know that they had existed until, you know, I acquired this 12-inch. And I'm not sure where I got it. I've owned this for years. But how cool is that? How cool is that to have extended versions of She's On It and Slow and Low on a 12-inch? And unavailable, at least at the time, in the United States. That is pretty cool. Now, next record I want to show you, next Beastie record I want to show you is not even by the Beastie Boys. Sounds weird, huh? Have you ever seen this record? It's a record called Beastie Rap. And it's not actually the Beastie Boys. It's a Beastie parody record. This is awful. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. But me being the collector that I am, and I probably bought this 20 years ago, this is just a parody where it sounds like... This came out in 1987 by a group called the Utensils. And actually, there's only one guy on here rapping, and he's pretty much dissing the Beastie Boys and talking about how untalented they are and how worthless they are and how do such dumb and ignorant rappers become rich and blah, blah, blah. Sounds like some 45-year-old white dude from the 1980s from America who's got a old car that needs new tires and it's got nothing better to do than complain, and they stuck him in the studio and had him record a bunch of ABC raps. It's awful. It's pretty bad. But hey, whatever, right? You know what I'm saying? I just, I like that kind of crazy stuff, and it's cool. When you're going through at least when I'm going through my Beastie stuff, I pull that out and I go, hey, you ever heard of this? And, oh no, more. Whoa, what is that? What? Yes, it's garbage, pretty much what it is. So, but it's cool. If you find it, check it out. You'll see what I'm saying. Next up, I got a cool one for you. Okay. Now, this one is also a bootleg. Beastie Boys, The Way We Were. And what this actually is, it's a live concert. Let's see. It was live at the A7 Club in New York City, 1982. So, yes, this is a punk rock performance. Obviously, this picture is from years after that. But if you flip it on the back, it kind of gives you the lowdown, and it also gives you that original lineup again that we were talking about earlier. And it says on here that it talked about this club, basically. Mike D is saying that we played our first club gig at A7. If you came up in New York City hardcore, you know this place. If not, it was like playing in your aunt's living room. That is, if your aunt's living room had cat pee all over it, and it was a part-time crack house. But the songs that they do on here is BASTIE, Transit Cop, some untitled song, a song called Jimmy, another untitled song, a song called Killing Spree, Song with No Name, House of the Rising Sun, Michelle's Farm, the new song, Riot Fight, and Egg Raid on Mojo. And actually, no, I take this back. This is Rat Cage Records. So I'm wrong. It's not a bootleg. It was limited to 300 copies, and it came with this wraparound sleeve, which the whole punk rock genre were the masters of do-it-yourself back then. And it also came with this little flyer newsletter type thing that featured the flyer for that night. And then it kind of gives you all of the song titles and the credits for the song titles on there. And then it kind of gives you a little whoop-de-woo about the band and all of that from back in those days. So this is a pretty awesome piece of vinyl right here. This didn't come out in 1982. It was recorded then. It came out much later. As a matter of fact, I don't even see a year on here anywhere. And in classic punk rock style, it's got a blank label. So if you can find this one, this is a pretty incredible piece of vinyl to have in your collection from the early punk rock days of the Beastie Boys. The Way We Were, recorded in 1982. Punk rock. Okay, I got another weird one for you. Let that sink in a second. Yep. And that's exactly what it says. That is exactly what you're thinking. Yes. Country Mike's Greatest Hits. That is Mike D from the Beastie Boys doing an entire country album. It's crazy. Yes. Yes. I know what you're thinking, and you're right. It sounds ridiculous. If you are into the old school country music from like the 70s, 60s, 50s maybe, that's what this sounds like. Mix that in with humor and some ridiculous song themes, if you will. So it's Mike D being silly on his guitar, playing all of these crazy country songs. This record is ridiculous. Yeah. So what I just found out is that, well, let me say this first. This record came out in 2000. When it was recorded, I don't know the details of that, but I bought my copy in 2002. Now, I'm usually pretty fast, usually not all the time, but I'm usually pretty fast with new Beastie Boy releases. But for whatever reason, I didn't buy this or come across it, probably because of what it was, until 2 years afterwards. What I just found out, like literally today as I was listening to this, is that this copy is not actually an original copy. And I thought it was. All of these years, I thought it was. The original copies came out in 2000. 2002 is when they started bootlegging it. So all the original copies, the first pressings of this were U.S. copies. This is a U.K. version. You can see the little yellow sticker right there. This is a U.K. version. And unfortunately, it's a bootleg. It's not an original copy. Not the biggest deal. I just thought all these years that, I bought it, pretty soon after it came out. But I guess it's better than not having it at all. It's still like a $60 to $80 record usually when it pops up. Unlike, of course, the original, which can be, I've seen the original go for $200 to $300. It doesn't pop up too often though. So yeah, if you want some laughs and you got a few bucks to spend and you're a hardcore Beastie fan, yeah, alright, let's get out of there. Enough of that. Next one I want to show you. The second release from the Beastie Boys ever. Again on Rat Cage Records. This is the Cookie Puss 12-inch. And this has 4 songs on it. There's a bonus, what does that say? Bonus Batter. Beastie Revolution, and then another version of Cookie Puss. If you take a close look right there, it's got the classic old school Beastie Boy, who is that? The Beatles cover, parody, whatever you want to call that. When I got into the Beastie Boys, and then I found out that they had a whole past career doing, hold on a second, doing punk rock, this was a must for me to grab. It was a must for me to grab, and I couldn't wait to get my hands on this. Once I started finding it, it was It was pretty easy to find back then. I bought this back in maybe the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s is when I bought this. But this is definitely one for the collection. Early Beastie Boys, the second release ever from them. You want that one in your collection. Let's see. We've been flying through these pretty fast. Another one I want to show you. One of my favorite Beastie songs ever. So What You Want. Yes, I know. Everybody knows this song. Everybody sing this record. Again, this is just a reference, because this is the regular U.S. pressing. But what I want to show you is the import pressing entitled Frozen Metalhead. Now, this was a French import. And the cool thing about this is it has the remix that features Cypress Hill. Now, if you want to see a really cool performance of this song, check out, or go right here on YouTube, go to, just punch in Beastie Boys, So What You Want, Arsenio Hall Show. And there's a performance with the Beastie Boys, DJ Hurricane, and Cypress Hill all performing this song. And this is the only place where you can find that remix version. As a matter of fact, I do believe DJ Muggs did that remix. I can barely see this tiny writing. But it sounds like your classic Cypress Hill record. And the cool thing about this import, white vinyl. White vinyl. You guys ever seen that? How many of you guys have this in your collection? This is one of my favorites right here. Frozen Metalhead version of So What You Want. That was number 9. I got one more that I want to show you guys. Okay? Let me get this heavy one up here. Yes, you guys have seen this. This is the Beastie Boys Check Your Head box set. But what you might not know about this box set was, or is, that when that came out, I don't know if every box set or just various box sets had it to where you might receive a random 45 that was out of the Beastie Boys collection, which is super duper awesome. For them to take one of their personal 45s and just stick it in there, and then you have something that they personally owned at one point, I think is super cool, and a super cool idea, and super generous for them to do for their fans. Now, if you didn't get a random, you could either get a random 45 of their collection, or you could get a 45 from the Beastie Boys entitled Lee Majors Come Again. And I was lucky enough to get the Beastie 45, because these are super limited. I was fortunate, because I would much rather have this cool 45 than to have just the random 45 that could have been literally anything. You know, it could have been anything. The B side of this, there's an acapella version of B-Boys in the Cut. So how cool is that? A acapella on one side, and then Lee Majors Come Again on the first side. So this is super duper rare and special for me, and I'm glad that I was able to have this as a part of my collection, and that I got it in my Check Your Head box set, which were limited. I forgot how many of these were pressed, but it was a limited pressing. So if you got it, you got it. If you didn't, good luck finding one, or good luck paying less than, I don't know, $200-300 for one. And there you have it. Have you ever seen these? Have you ever come across these? Or how often do you see these, if you have? I hope you enjoy this video, because I enjoy making it, and I enjoy sharing some more of my not so common records in my collection. This is Daryl D. That's it for now. I'll see you next time on Daryl D TV. You guys take care. Peace and love.